Good games, bad games, we love to talk about both, but today we're going to talk about weird games. Nowadays, since technically anyone can make a video game, there are a lot more weird games out there, but even when the concept of an indie was unknown, there were many works of curious existence out there. In the distant era of 20 years ago, it was normal that when you released a game for the big consoles, PlayStation, Xbox, Wii, you released another one for the handhelds, Game Boy, Nintendo DS, and PSP, whether it was an adaptation of the same game or a spin-off. The Sims took advantage of this concept. Although we all think of The Sims 1 to 4, there are many more games that try something different. The Sims 2 for the Nintendo DS takes the basic Sims mechanics and their characteristic humor and changes the genre from managing a household unit as a superior entity to embodying a single sim who must manage an hotel. Sounds like a good idea. Well, let's see where that idea takes us. As soon as we start the game, we already have a feeling of low quality. On the top screen, we see a video of terrible quality where a car crashes in a town. Clicking New Game takes us straight to a character editor. Limited, but sufficient for this game. After creating our character, we see that the video was our introduction to the game. We are the sim driving the car, which started braking and we barely managed to bring it to a town before it completely stopped moving. We are in Strangetown, a location that appears in most versions of The Sims 2. The town mechanic, Jebediah, warns us that it will take time to fix the car and we should ask for a room at the local hotel. But when we try, we find that the manager has fled, leaving the hotel abandoned. This brings us to a tutorial where we help fix the hotel. The first of the tasks is to collect nuclear rods to recharge the reactor and restore power. I paused for a few seconds for you to process what I said. There are many radioactive nuclear rods just lying all over the place, which are used in a nuclear reactor that controls the electricity of the hotel. These kinds of exaggerated things are treated completely and totally casually, as if they were not insane. One of the other tasks in the tutorial is to find Tristan Legend to commission him to build the hotel a casino, so that he has something to attract customers with, and we run into him in the desert, crying because giant scorpions have abducted his girlfriend. Again, this is mentioned like it's no big deal, and it's no joke! We have a sanity bar that goes down for certain things. The harsh conditions of the desert cause it to drop as we run around this area, and indeed, if our sanity reaches 0... Wait a minute. Sanity? Yes, this bar we see here is not called life or energy, normal stuff, but sanity, as if the simple act of existing in Strangetown is a challenge to our ability to lose our mind. Again, it's one of those things you don't pay much attention to, but it's weird. This game is really weird. I can't keep track of all the weird things I want to talk about. I was talking about aliens. When Tristan finishes the casino, Emperor Zizzle arrives to try to conquer us. Tristan treats him like he's a nuisance. He says the aliens try to conquer Strangetown like once a week, but because water burns their skin, they scare them off with water guns. After doing so, we are appointed temporary manager of the Strangetown Hotel, ending the tutorial. Do you know any other game where stopping an alien invasion is the end of the tutorial? Well, now that we are the hotel manager, let's talk about what it's like to play The Sims 2 DS. It seems that the intent of the creators was to imitate Animal Crossing, a game that wants you to play it for a while every day. As in said Animal Crossing, the time you play is the time of the game. It's not like the typical open world game where you go from day to night and back to day in 50 minutes. If you play at noon, it will be noon. If you play at midnight, it will be midnight. This fits very well with the theme of the hotel. When someone books a room for 3 days, they book it for 3 days in real life. You have to wait those 3 days until you get your money. During that time, as you play, random events will pop up, sometimes connected to your guests, sometimes not. If one of them demands you to find an item they lost on day 2 or 3 of their stay, you better find it. Not doing so may offend them and they will leave without paying you, wasting 2 days of use of that room. There are many of these events, some of them so curious that I will discuss them later, but I want to make it clear that they go from the most normal to the most insane. You go from, as I said, finding a lost item, to defending the town from alien invasions with your water gun and maybe even criminals coming to town. When the latter happens, there's not much you can do. Sometimes they'll kidnap one of your guests and you'll have to pay the ransom, and if they intend to rob you, you can't do anything. Trying to interact with them will cause your character to piss themselves and lose consciousness. No, they don't attack you, you just pass out. Did I tell you already that this game is weird? Well, I lied. There is a way to get rid of the criminals. Almost everything you do in this game is to get money to afford furniture and make new rooms for the hotel. Either more rooms so you can have more guests at the same time, or special rooms that unlock new mechanics. One of those rooms is, well, I'll let the game speak for itself. Jesusnewc is back in town and causing trouble. If a local hero doesn't take care of him soon, he'll probably steal some of your cash. Oh no. Quick! To the rat cave! Clearly inspired by Batman's Batcave, this cave allows you to transform into the Raticator. As a Raticator, you can use your Ratarang to stop the criminals stalking Strangetown. Not only do I love this stupid shit, but I adore knowing that it doesn't even make the top 15 weird things in this game. This is one of the special rooms in the game that you'll buy as you accumulate fortune. Among the normal ones, there are more rentable rooms to have more guests at once, an Asian restaurant. Ignore the mummy that has hypnotized those two. If I stop to explain all the weirdness you can see, I'll never finish the video. A jazz bar, an art gallery, which by the way can be a good source of income. If you draw paintings, people will buy them from you. Comically, depending on your mood, the messages will be different. A normal sim will say, "I just bought a painting of yours for 744 simoleons. It's astounding, breathtaking, captivating." An angry sim will say, "You paint vulgar filth, do you hear me? I just bought that ugly painting of yours for 1,507 simoleons, so no one will ever have to look at it again." And a crazy one will say, "You know that painting you did? The one where you painted my nightmares! Holy smoke! I just bought it for 407 simoleons. Now I'm gonna burn it! Woo!" This game may not be cinema, but it is comedy. Moving on to weirder rooms like the Rat Cave, we have a vault that is of little use, but we can forge money! In what other game can you forge fake money? But save the game from time to time. If you get caught, you go to jail. They let you out on bail. How much was the bail? 200 simoleons? That's nothing! I have 200,000! But what madness is this? I can commit any crime I want! Wow, for an instant, I felt what rich people must feel. Or the secret basement where is Bigfoot. Turns out he wasn't in the Alps or anything, he was just trapped in our basement. If you give him food, for 24 hours, he'll make your guests happy. Don't ask me how. You also have the Zoltron here, one of those little seer machines at fairs. You can use it and it has messages from funny to boring to weirdly terrifying. I foresee great showers of rain tomorrow. Fame and fortune will be yours, posthumously. You are confident, courageous, and well-adjusted. In other words, a total bore. He who laughs last, and is probably the only one left in the room, lonely, lost, and afraid. This Zoltron reminds me of what you might call casual horror. Something that was a big part of Sims 1 has been lost from installment to installment until Sims 4, where it's basically non-existent. The casual horror is when, in something that you consider another genre, such as action or comedy, suddenly there is a moment that causes horror. In another context, it would not be that big of a deal, but as it happens suddenly out of its natural environment, it has more effect. For me, the biggest example is the mysterious calls in The Sims 1. Between midnight and 8 AM, you could get messages like, "The end is near. Make preparations. They will come soon. Maybe you should think twice about opening the door." You have been chosen. They will come soon. I'll talk more about this later. But, well, back to the topic. Why you build all these rooms is to make an investment. You spend money on them, but you will make more money from them. The art gallery is the best example. You can make quite a fortune passively. A pity that the game is clearly rushed, because it's not like the desktop Sims where you have to practice your skills, and if you want to become a painter, you have to spend hours and hours painting. Here, the quality of the paintings is random. Look, I make a line. This painting is a magnum opus. I do another line almost identical and it's garbage. Oops, I forgot about the last weird room. You can also earn money with this one. Here, you can extract organs from mummified alien cadavers. What am I playing? Well, it turns out that you can go into the desert with a metal detector. Usually you find stones, occasionally some ingot, but there are also stranger things like mummified alien cadavers. In this room, you can, as I said, extract their organs in a very frustrating minigame to get some cash. Was there no supervision in this game? Isn't this supposed to be for kids? Why can't you slice open a corpse to harvest its organs? Who am I selling this to? Am I part of a black market? Wow, I forgot about that. Speaking of crime, besides doing these insane things to increase the quality of your hotel and the size of your bank account, there's a main storyline. The best room in your hotel is the penthouse, but 3 characters will forcibly stay there without paying you anything. Getting rid of these 3 characters forms the main story arcs, the first of which is Frankie Fusilli. I love his intro. He comes out of nowhere, demands your best room without paying, and makes it clear what will happen if you don't obey.
Oh, you think I should pay, do you? That's a real shame, cause without me here to watch over things, this building might start falling apart. Scary, eh? How? Oh, you know, things might just start breaking real mysterious like windows and pipes and legs. Capiche?
Sadly, we peaked here. Frankie Fusilli is the best of the 3 antagonists. He's the only one of the 3 who poses a real and fun threat, forcing you to be part of his plans. In one of them, he makes you deliver the mayor a gift, which turns out to be a bomb! And you'll have to save the mayor from the flames. Or my favorite one, in which he gives you a chest that has something inside that moves, and you're tasked with burying it in the desert at night. Have I mentioned that this game is weird? Or how it is supposed to be for kids? Luckily, you are discovered by an FBI agent who you collaborate with to set him up. Next is Ava Kadabra, a woman who tries to hypnotize the whole town to create a cult to a bovine god. But with the help of Horus Menoshep IX, you stop her. I warned you that Frankie was the best. We go from funny mobster hijinks to crazy shit. And wait for it, when you stop her, Ava retaliates by setting fire to the penthouse, and a robot arrives to take care of the restoration, Alfred Optimus. But the radioactive energy from the town's rust that he uses to recharge himself makes him go crazy! I must comment that many people didn't finish the main story because of a mission with Alfred. None of the missions in this game are difficult, not at all. But here there is a moment where you must infiltrate the penthouse while Alfred recharges, but during that time he disables the elevator, so you must have 5 skill points in mechanics to manipulate it. When I talked about painting, I briefly commented that this game does not have the typical mainline Sims way of improving your skills. Here there are 5 skills: mechanics, charisma, creativity, body, and business. To improve them, you will have to find some skill points scattered around the hotel. The trick is that these points only appear at specific times in specific places. So if, let's say, you only have time to play for a while from 7 PM to 8 PM, you're fucked! Because if you want to improve your mechanics, you have to play on Sunday from 12 AM to 4 AM, or on a Friday from midnight to 8 AM. As these points are randomly placed between time and space, many abandoned the game here, especially children who did not know how to look for a guide on the internet, which was not so accessible in 2005. But whatever, let's say you do it. Soon after, you will play the final battle against Alfred Optimus, because of course this game has a final boss, even though the Sims are not usually about that. You have to put on the Radicator suit and defeat Alfred and his squad of robots, after which the game rewards us with another very short and horribly pixelated cinematic that ends the main story. This story is horrible. The idea was cool with Frankie Fusilli, but since then it's been going downhill without breaks. It was a good idea that was horribly executed. And honestly, that could be the summary of the game. Just like the story and the skill points, there are a lot of things in this game that work wrong. There's no other way to put it. Some of them are because the game wants to resemble the mainline Sims. In those games, it's very important to manage your sim. They have multiple needs that must be met in order for them to perform well. Hunger, energy, fun, hygiene, bladder. In The Sims 2DS, technically speaking, we have the same needs, but you have to deal with them so occasionally and it's so easy you wonder why they bother. Or the social aspect. In The Sims, you can usually forge quite complex relationships between Sims. Friends, enemies, lovers, enemy lovers. In this portable release, the Sims moods are either positive, normal and romance, or negative, angry, sad, and crazy. Negative states make sense. Angry and crazy Sims will cause damage to your hotel, and it's in your best interest to keep them happy so they don't cause trouble. Interacting with them starts a sort of quick time event, where you have to choose the correct reaction to their action. It sounds fun, but they are always the same, so it ends up being boring and exhausting. Another great idea that goes down the drain. Succeeding in these interactions heals the Sims, ending their negative states. Okay, this exists for a reason. Now, what about the positive states? You can't have deep interactions with these Sims, so what's the point of interacting with them while they're happy or horny? Well, if you repeat these interactions a lot, they will end up telling you a secret about themselves. And hey, there's actually some fun variety. We go from things like Kaylee telling you that she's missing a toe due to an accident, to Giuseppe Mezzoalto telling you that he's a robot. These secrets can be funny, and again, it's a good idea, but it's not worth all the time you'd have to spend repeating these boring interactions. I'll leave you with my favorite, the Italian master, Frankie Fusilli. His biggest secret is he likes Thai food more than Italian food. And it's a shame because here the NPC Sims have a lot of personality. Inspired by cliches and famous people, each one has a voice of their own, which is usually not the case in Sims games, and just that, hearing how each one has their own way of speaking the famous Simlish language, it's a pleasure. I have some phrases from some of these characters stuck in my brain.
Tiramar!
Tiramar!
Turakma! Yeah, hey!
Tiramar! Hey!
Bomba sapon!
Two bombas upon!
A bomba de shubutana!
Awuba Destar Wutana!
If there were deeper systems, this game could use that charisma in being infinite like the mainline Sims or Animal Crossing, but that's not the case. Once you've gone through the story and bought all the rooms, there's no reason to keep playing. Or so I would say, if this wasn't one of the most interesting games I've ever played. What I've just commented on are simply things done poorly for one reason or another, but the game is full of details and secrets that draw me in. The desert is where you start to notice this. There are several strange things scattered about, a river of radioactive debris, a crashed UFO, an Apollo lunar module. If you try to walk away, you'll be surprised by a powerful sandstorm, and, as I said before, if you run out of sanity, you can be abducted. There are several things that cause our sim to return to his room. As we saw before, running into a criminal has the same effect, but only if you're abducted, you will walk strangely for a few seconds, and I don't know why. I've heard around that it's supposed to be a joke, like that the aliens have probed you and that's why you walk like that. This has to be the only children's game I've ever played where the main character can have things shoved up his anus. But you don't even have to go that far to find mysteries. The hut next to the cows is locked up. It wouldn't be strange if it wasn't the only locked door in the game. When you go days without playing, when you load the game, the concierge calls you to let you know what happened while you were gone. One of the things he may say is that he saw strange people hanging around this cabin, but you will never see that. The mayor is a funny character that you'll see a couple of times during the first few hours of the game, but after you manage to kick Frankie Fusilli out, he completely disappears from the game without any warning and for no apparent reason. earlier I mentioned the Sims moods. One of them is crazy, and you come to accept it because it's treated as normal. These Sims will call you on the phone, say strange things to you, and act erratically until you help them out of this stupor. You end up getting used to this atmosphere of strangeness to live in a town with 5 buildings. Among its inhabitants, there's a mole man, a robot, and a mummy. But you form a bond with this weirdness because within its scarcity, the game has an infinity of details and random events, and you start looking for them as if this was just another game mechanic. You can milk the cows to give you milk, but if you give them chocolate, by the way, giving gifts, a completely useless mechanic except for this, milking them will give you chocolate milk. If you change the Nintendo DS internal clock to travel back in time, the game will know, and to punish you, you'll suffer an intense alien invasion. Which you'll want because just by changing the internal clock, you can get the adorable ghost painting, which will appear in the store on January 11, 2000 and December 31st, 2099. If you hang the picture in the hotel, the ghost will pop up in various rooms and help you interact with other Sims. Why is this in the game? I don't know. In all the hours I have spent playing this game, I've seen many times the random event where a criminal appears and you must stop him as Radicator. However, only once have I seen an event where a criminal kidnapped one of my guests and demanded money for a ransom. If this happens, you can either go to the basement in person and pay, or stop the criminal as Radicator. And while playing this game recently, in part to prepare for this video, in part for fun, an event happened that has only happened to me that time. See that chest in my inventory? I got a call that something is buried in the desert. You'll have to hurry to find it. Since I had never in all my years of playing this game seen anything like this, I quickly grabbed the metal detector and started exploring the desert. After a little less than an hour, I found this treasure chest. I refused to sell it because it's proof that even though I've probably been playing this game for 15 years, there are still things about it that I haven't discovered. And that's all for now. While I've practically spoiled the entire game, I've left out a couple of things, just in case anyone feels like pulling out the emulator trying this game that's already 2 decades old. When someone calls a game weird, this is the first one that comes to my mind. Which one pops into your head? Let me know in the comments, and see you next time.